Hello everyone, this is Dr. Mihir Shah once again with another video. In this video, we are going to solve problem sum based on the chapter Working Capital Financing under the subject Accounting for Managerial Decision, also known as AMD, for all the SYBMS SEM-III student. In this video, we are going to take multiple problem sums based on the topic Working Capital Financing. Okay, I can guarantee you that once you'll go through the video, you'll be able to solve any kind of sum based on this particular chapter. Okay, so first of all, we will start off with a small introduction and then we'll note down the format, and after that, we'll be solving few sum based on working capital financing. So chalo, let us see how to start off and try to understand what is working capital and then how to draw the format and thereafter how to solve the problem sum. Okay, here is a statement showing the working capital needed. We have particulars, we have formula ka one column, and then we have amount ka one column. Working capital basically is nothing but the difference between your current asset and your current liability. Okay, under current asset, remember there has to be minimum these five things: stock of raw material, work in process under which you have again raw material, labor and overheads, finished goods, debtors and cash. These are the five things that has to be there in your current asset. Once you get the value, we get the total current asset. After that, we note down the current liability. Now, there are only two things which you have to remember in current liabilities. We have creditors and we have outstanding. Again, outstanding has labor and overheads. When you subtract total CA with total CL, you get your gross working capital. In the question, if there is any margin of safety given to us, then we add it to working capital and that becomes a net working capital. If there is no net margin given or margin of safety given, then your gross working capital eventually becomes your net working capital. Okay, the formula is very simple. It's unit multiplied by the rate multiplied by the period. Unit and rate will appear from the working note that we will create. Period is the only thing which we'll have to check in the question. Okay, now I want everyone to see that you'll note down this particular format. And one more very important thing after noting the format, some rules. The rules stated that is work in process, labor and overhead. Whatever answer you will get, we'll have to take half of that because the work is still not done. So labor and overhead under work in process will always be half. For finished goods, the rate will be always taken as cost of production ka rate. For debtors, it will always be taken as selling price ka rate, and for creditors, it will always be taken as raw material ka rate. Okay, so these are the 3 to 4 simple rules that you'll have to remember. Number one, under WIP, labor and overheads will always be half. Debtors are on selling price, finished goods is all on cost of production, and creditors on raw material. Okay, so once I'll make that format, see that I'll even note down these particular rules which I've written in red. Next, after noting the format, okay, the next thing up here is your working notes. Two working notes we have to create. One where we'll able to find the units, the other one will be for the rate. Okay, so for working note, number one will be where you have to create a cost structure which consists of raw material plus labor plus overhead, that gives you cost of production, plus profit gives you sales. This entire format is basically used, or working note is used to get the rate amount of your sum. Okay, so all the rate will come from this particular table. Second, we need to get the number of units. So the unit ka formula is number of unit is equal to annual production, full year ka production, divided by 12 if it is monthly base, divided by 52 if it is weekly base, and divided by 360 if it is daily basis, depending on the question. Okay, so these are the two working notes which are very important that we need to solve before solving the sum, because from cost structure we'll be able to find the rate. From the number of units formula, we'll be able to get the number of units. After getting this, okay, we will be solving the sum based on working capital, and after solving the sum based on working capital, there will arise one question where they will ask you to find the maximum permissible bank funding, okay, or bank financing. So for that, there are three formulas that we'll have to follow. It's called methods of lending under Tandon committee, where we'll be finding the maximum permissible bank finance. Three methods are there. Number one, We have to get the value of 75% of CA minus CL, that is current asset minus current liability. Second method is 75% of CA minus current liability. And the third one is 75% of current asset minus core current asset. Whatever you get the value minus current liability. Okay, so these are the three formulas that we need to note down under Tandon committee, whereby we will be asked to find the maximum permissible bank finance. Okay, so now with all these three slides that we went through, first the format and the working note and then the formulas. Now let us see how to actually solve the sum, combining all the three parts of this particular sum. Okay, here is a question in front of you all. From the following figures, prepare an estimate of working capital. Production mein they are given you 30,000 units. Selling price per unit is rupees 10. Raw material is 60% of selling price. Direct wages is 1/6 of raw material. Overheads is twice of direct wages. Then they are giving you some data related on months. So material in hand, production time, finished goods in store. They have given you credit for material, credit allowed to customers, cash balance. And thereafter they said wages and overheads are paid in the beginning of next month. So there's something related to outstanding. Also calculate the maximum permissible bank finance as per Tandon committee, assuming that the core current asset is 25% of total assets. So core current asset is 25%. We'll have to keep that in mind while solving ahead. Okay. Now, in order to solve the sum, the very first thing what we have to do is first always solve the working note. Number one working note will be based on our cost structure where we'll be getting all the rates. So let us start with that first working note. Okay, I have the format is your structure. Raw material, labor, overhead, COP, profit, sale. Let us see what things have they given us in the question. See, I can see here selling price per unit is rupees 10. So we note down that selling price is 10. So we have noted that. Raw material is 60% of selling price. So 10 ka 60% is rupees 6. So raw material is 6. Direct wages, that is nothing but labor, is 1/6 of raw material. So raw material divided by 6 will give you 1. So labor is 1. Overheads is twice of direct wages. So it's double of direct wages. So double of 1 is 2. 6 plus 1, 7. 7 plus 2, 9. So my cost of production is 9. Selling price is 10. So I have got a profit of rupees 1. So our entire cost structure is ready. So all the rates will be taken from this particular table. Second, we need to get the number of units. Now, number of units के लिए formula was annual production, which is 30,000 units, and in this sum entirely they are talking about months. So it will be 30,000 divided by 12 because in a year there are 12 months. So once you divide, we get the number of units, that's 2,500. Now remember, in your entire sum, the number of units will remain 2,500. The rate will be taken from the cost structure, and for the period, we'll have to check the question. Okay, so the format is there. Okay, remember unit for the full sum is 2,500. Rate comes from the cost structure, and period will be there from the question. So let us start one by one. First thing, current asset, we have stock of raw material. Now remember, for stock of raw material, the number of units that are required are 2,500. The rate of raw material is rupees 6. And the period, let us check for the period. Here I can see your material in hand, that is raw material in hand, is for 2 months. So we will apply to the formula unit into rate into period. So we get it as 2,500 was the number of units, the rate was 6, and the period is 2 months. Just that is it. Unit taken from unit, rate taken from the cost structure, and period from the question, and just multiply it. That's it. With that we'll be able to get each and every answer. So 2,500 into 6 into 2 will give you the value of 30,000 rupees. That is the value of raw material. Now next, under WIP we have three things: raw material, labor, and overheads. For all the three, again number of units remain 2,500. For the rate, raw material is 6, labor is 1, and overheads is 2. Now for WIP or work in process, there will be various names given in the question. Okay, they can give you in the form of what is processing period, trade cycle period, business period, all those kind of stuffs here. Okay, so let us see what is given here. Yeah, here they have given us production time. In the question, they are giving you production time is 1 month. Production time is nothing but work in process. So for all the three, the period will be 1 month. Now, the most important thing, remember, for labor and overheads under WIP, whatever answer we will get, we'll always have to take the half. Okay. So raw material 2500 into 6 into 1. Labor will be 2500 into 1. Okay, the value is 15,000. For labor, 2500 into 1 into the period 1, and whatever answer you'll get, we'll have to take half of that. So I'll take it as 0.5. The value will come up to 1250. For overheads, again, number of units is 2500, period the rate is 2, period is 1, and we always have to take the half of that. So the value comes to 5000. Next, for finished goods, always remember finished goods, the rate is always taken on cost of production. So number of units remains 2500, COP is 9, and the time period for finished goods in store is 3 months. So we just multiply 2500 into 9 into 3, we get the value as 67,500. For debtors, we always take it on selling price unless mentioned in the question to take it on some other rate. Again, 2500, selling price is 10. Debtors, another name for debtors are customers. So customers ka period is 3 months. So it will be 2500 into 10 into 3, which comes to 75,000. Cash is always given in the question. So that is 40,000. So we note down that as 40,000. So with that, all our assets or our current assets are done. So we add up the total current asset and we get the total as 2,31,250. With this, our first part of the sum is done. Now we jump to the second part, that is current liability, under which we have to first find the value of creditors. Now, under again creditor, number of units is 2500. The rule was creditors are always taken on raw material, which is rupees 6. So it will be 2500 into 6 into credit for material. Okay, these are suppliers. Credit for material is 2 months. So we will take this as 2500 into 6 into 2, which comes to 30,000. Outstanding if given. Now in the adjustment, they are giving you wages and overheads are paid in the beginning of next month. But the current month ka wages and overheads are paid in the next month. So there is a time lag of 1 month, or outstanding of 1 month is available. So the period is 1 month. Again, 2500 into labor, which is 1 rupee, into the outstanding period, which is again 1 month, which comes to 2500. No half. Here you don't have to take any half. Half is only in WIP. Overheads 2500 into 2 into 1, which comes to 5000. We add up, we get a total current liability as 37,500. In the sum, there is no margin of safety given. So CA minus CL will be our final answer. That will be our working capital. So current asset minus current liability, the value that we should have got would have been 1,93,750. With this, we were able to solve the problem sum based on working capital financing. Now, the next thing what they have asked us to find is calculate the maximum permissible bank finance, where they are giving you core current asset is 25% of total assets. So that will be, we'll keep that in mind because that will be useful. Remember one thing, just note down the value of current asset and current liability somewhere, because I'll be, we'll need those two values in order to get the Tandon committee values. Okay, so 2,31,250 CA, 37,500 is the value of current liability. Now let us see how to find the maximum permissible limit. In order to find, we'll have to use the Tandon committee formulas. 3 methods are there. Number 1, the formula is the maximum permissible limit is 75% of current asset minus current liability. So it is nothing but 75% of 2,31,250, that was our current assets, minus current liability, that was 37,500. We will subtract it. Whatever amount you get of that, we have to take 75%, and that amount will come to rupees 1,45,330. So this is the maximum limit which the bank can give you as a loan under the first method. Under the second method, the formula is 75% of current asset minus current liability. Current asset was 2,31,250. So 75% of that, whatever amount you get, minus 37,500. So the value that you all should have got would have been 75% of 2,31,250 is 1,73,438 minus 37,500 will give you 1,35,938 rupees. This is as per the second method. As per the third method, the formula is 75% of current asset minus core current asset. Now, core current asset was, remember in the question it was given as 25% of assets. Total asset is nothing but current asset. Okay, current asset was 2,31,250. Of that, we'll have to take 25%. Okay, so it will look something like this. 75% of current asset 2,31,250 minus 25% of 2,231,250 is 57,830. We will subtract that, multiply it by 75%. Whatever answer you get from that, we'll have to minus the current liability. So it comes to 1,30,780 minus 37,500. So our final value will be rupees 92,578. Okay, so that is the three maximum permissible bank limit. Okay, according to the method of Tandon committee. The first method, second method, and third method. With this, the entire sum based on working capital financing comes to an end. We started off with the working notes, then we used that entire statement to get the working capital, and from that we were able to get the maximum permissible bank finance according to the Tandon committee. Okay, this is like a full-fledged sum that has been completed.
From the following data provided by Meza Alpha Limited, estimate the working capital requirement for the year ended 31st March 2017. The estimated activity is 2,60,000 units, okay, for the entire year, and in bracket they are giving you 52 weeks, meaning it's all related to weeks. Raw material remain in stock for 2 weeks and production cycle takes 2 weeks. Finished goods for 2 weeks, 2 weeks is for supplier, 4 weeks for debtors. Time lag in payment of wages and overhead is 2 weeks. Cash and bank balance to be maintained is 25,000. Selling price is 15 rupees per unit. The analysis of the cost is raw material is 33 1/3% of sale. Labor and overheads are in the ratio 6:4. Profit is at 5 rupee per unit. Also calculate the maximum permissible bank finance as per Tandon committee, assuming the core current asset is 25% of total asset. Okay. So now, whenever you get such kind of sum, the very first thing what you need to prepare are two working notes. Number one will be based on your cost structure. Now, in the question, they are giving you selling price is 15 rupees. Note it down. Profit is 5 rupees. Okay. And raw material is 33 1/3% of sales. So 15 into 33.33333, take it till the end of your calculator, and then when you press the equal to sign, you will get the 33 1/3% of 15 is 5. Okay. Profit is at 5 per unit of profit. I wrote 5. Now when you go reverse me, what plus 5 can give you 15? So my answer will be 10. Okay, cost of production will become 10. Okay, what plus 5 could have given you 15? So 10 plus 5 would have given you 15. Now your cost of production is supposed to be 10. Matlab, raw material plus labor plus overhead, when you add up it has to become 10. But raw material is already 5. So the remaining labor and overheads has to be a total of 5. And the ratio what they are giving you is 6:4. So divide this amount 5 in the ratio 6:4, and you should get the value as 3 and 2. So the labor and overhead is 3 rupees and 2 rupees equally. This is the first working note that you will have to do. The second working note is based on the number of units. Okay, so I'll just erase this part. Okay. Now for number of units, very simple. Annual production divided by either 12 months if it is months, 52 if it is weeks, and 360 if it is day. Now here it is already mentioned 52 weeks. So 2,60,000 divided by 52 will give you 5,000 units per week. Okay. These are the first two working notes that you need to prepare. After that, we come directly with the format. So statement showing working capital needed. Particulars, we have working, that is unit into rate into period and amount. Under particulars, we have current assets and current liabilities. So let us start one by one. Under current asset, number one is stock. So stock of raw material, number of units is 5,000, rate of raw material is 5, and time required, raw material remain in stock for 2 weeks. So it will be 5,000 into 5 into 2, that is unit into rate into period, which comes to 50,000. Now again under WIP we have raw material. unit will be 5,000, rate will be 5, and yes, given the production cycle takes 2 weeks, so that is WIP. So 5,000 into 5 into 2 comes to 50,000. Labor, it will be 5,000 into 3 into 2, but remember, for under WIP, labor and overhead, whatever answer you get, you have to take half of that, okay? So it will be 5,000 into 3 into 2 into half, okay, which comes to 15,000. Same way for overhead, it will be 5,000 into 2 because overhead ka rate is 2. The period is 2 weeks and you have to take half of that. So which comes to 10,000. Now remember, finished goods is always on cost of production ka rate pay. So cost of production is 10. So 5,000 into 10 and finished goods given in the question is 2 weeks. So 5,000 into 10 into 2 which gives you 1 lakh. Debtors are always on selling price unless mentioned. So selling price is given as 15. So 5,000 into 15 into 4 weeks because debtors have been given 4 weeks. You multiply, you get the answer at 3 lakhs. Cash is already given as 25,000. So when you add up all the current assets, the total should come to 5,50,000 rupees. In the same way, current liability may we have creditors. Number of units is 5,000. Always remember creditors ka rate will always be on raw material. So 5,000 into 5 period to the supplier is 2 weeks. So 5,000 into 5 into 2 comes to 50,000. Outstanding, if any, yeah, there is given a time lag in payment of wages and overheads is 2 weeks. So 5,000 into 2 into 2, into 3 into 2, and that comes to 30,000. And for overhead, it will be 5,000 into 2 into 2, which comes to 20,000. So 50 plus 50, when you add up, it becomes 1 lakh. So your net working capital will be current asset minus current liability, 5,50,000 minus 1 lakh, which comes to 4,50,000 rupees. This is step 1, where you have to first get the working capital. Now, let us find the maximum permissible bank finance and assuming that core current asset is 25%. Okay. Current asset 5,50,000, current liability 1 lakh. These are the two values that you have to remember. Okay, 5,50,000 and 1 lakh. So, chalo, let us see one by one how to solve. Okay, method of lending, Tandon committee, maximum permissible bank finance. Number 1, the first method says the bank can give you a finance of maximum of 75% of current asset minus current liability. Current assets were 5,50,000, current liability was 1 lakh. So 75% of 550 minus 1 lakh, that is 4,50,000. When you remove 75%, your first value that you should get is 3,37,500. As per the second method, the formula is 75% of current asset minus current liability. Current asset is 5,50,000. Of that, we take 75%. Whatever answer you'll get, we'll minus it with 1 lakh. So the value that you all should get is 3,12,500. And the third method is 75% of current asset minus core current asset, which was 25% of current assets, minus current liability. So 5,50,000 into 25%, we'll get the core current asset ka value, which comes to 1,37,500. After subtracting whatever value you will get, you have to take it into 75%, which comes to 3,93,75. That minus your current liability of 1 lakh will give you your third answer, which is 2,93,075. Okay, so these are the three methods of maximum permissible bank finance. After solving the working capital management, you'll have to solve this particular part. Now, at times in the exam, they can also tell you just solve the first method, or only the second method, or only the third method, or they can ask you the first and second, or in either order. Okay, but these are the three methods that you all need to learn. Okay, this was the very first sum. Now, let us take another sum to understand how you need to solve working capital. Okay, the following information is presented by Data and Sun Limited for the year ending 31st 2016-17. Estimated yearly production is 30,000 units. Material was 5 rupees, wages 3 rupees, overheads 2 rupees, selling price 12 rupees. Okay, and then they are giving you adjustments all based on months. Okay, they all based on months. Okay, so chalo, let us start with the cost structure. Raw material is 5 rupees. Okay, selling price first of all always noted down as 12. Raw material given is 5. Wages is 3, overheads is 2, 5 plus 3, 8 plus 2, 10. 10 minus 12 is 2. Okay, that will become a profit of 2 rupees. Next, we need to find the number of units. That will be total production 30,000 and everything is on months. So divide by 12. which comes to 2500 units. Now, based on this, we will start with the actual preparation. Again, we start with current assets, stock of raw material, units 2500, rate 5 rupees, and company extends. Let us check where is material given to us. First is customer, raw material. The company maintains 1 month stock of raw material. So 1 month, so 2500 into 5 into 1, which comes to 12,500. Next comes is under WIP we have raw material. So raw material ke liye again number of units 2500, rate will be 5, and processing period given here is half a month. So it will be 2500 into 5 into 0.5, which comes to 6250. For labor, 2500 into 3 into 0.5 and additional 0.5. Okay, remember labor and overheads will always be half. So it will be 2500 into 3 into 0.5, that is the period given, an additional 0.5 because that's the rule. Same way for overheads, it will be 2500 into 2 into 0.5 into 0.5, which comes to 1250. Again, now for finished goods, it will be 2500 into 10 because that's the cost of production. And the period given is 2 months. So it will be 2500 into 10 into 2, which comes to 50,000. Next for debtors, it will be 2500 into the sales. Selling price is 12 rupees. So into 12 into the period of debtors, customers, any name, the first name, 2 months. So 2500 into 12 into 2, which comes to 60,000. Cash given is 8125. So we take it as it is. We add up the total current asset. We get the total as 1,40,000. Similarly, for current liability, creditors 2500 into the raw material 5. Okay, into the supplier, which is 1 month period. So 2500 into 5 into 1, which comes to 12,500. Wages and overheads are paid 1 month in arrears. So there is an outstanding of 1 month for both. So 2500 into 3 into 1 and 2500 into 2 into 1. You add up, we get the total of 25,000. So 1,40,000 current asset minus 25,000. You will get the total net working capital as 1,15,000. Now, once we have got the net working capital, now it is very simple. We'll start with the maximum permissible limit. Again, 25% of core total asset is your core current asset given in the question. So as per the first method, it is 75% of CA minus CL. CA was 1,40,000 and CL was 25,000. Subtracted, whatever answer into 75% gives you 86,250. The second method is 75% of current asset minus current liability. So 1,40,000 into 75%, we'll get one value. After getting that value, minus 25,000, we will get a final amount, which comes to 80,000. And the third method is 75% of current asset minus core current asset, which is 25% of current asset minus current liability. Okay, again, core current asset was 25% of current assets. So 1,40,000 into 25%, that's your core current asset, which comes to 35,000. So 1,40,000 minus 35,000 into 75% will get one value. From that, we minus the current liability and we'll get a final amount as 53,750. Okay, so this is how you all had to solve the sum based on working capital and thereafter finding the maximum permissible bank finance. So we were able to cover up 2 extra sums on this particular topic. So I hope everyone have understood that. So with that, we will be ending this video here. Thank you.